Oh, you done? and I'm Spectacular Boy.
And together, we're the Spectacular Team. Now it's good to see everybody that came out. Back to Bible Hero Alliance, Battle Against Evil 3.
Spectacular, girl. What I'm seeing is spectacular. I think everybody came back, and I think they even brought some friends. That's so awesome. Great job, kids. Hey, now, I want to hear it tonight, okay? So if you feel this way, let me know. How many of you are Spectacular Boy fans? Yeah.
All right, now, who's a Spectacular Girl fan? Gotcha.
I knew that was going to happen.
Good job, girls.
Isn't she something? Well, anyway, kids, last night, do you remember when we learned about Samson the Hulk? You remember? He was big and he was strong and he beat people up and he was green, but he shouldn't have been. Well, anyway, he was much more than that. Well, he was one of the judges over Israel, and there was many others too. But eventually, they died, and the high priest Eli took over ruling Israel with God's help. Well, eventually, he got old, and there was no replacement for him, for his sons were evil.
Eli had a young lad who lived with him, and his name was Samuel.
And one night, when Samuel and Eli were sleeping,
Samuel.
Eli,
What?
you called me?
No, Samuel. I didn't call you. Go back to bed.
Samuel.
Eli, you called me. Eli, you called me.
Samuel, no, I didn't call you. Go lay back down. Go to sleep.
Samuel.
Eli, you called me.
Samuel, if you hear the voice again, I want you to say this. Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. Now, go back to bed.
Samuel.
Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.
Behold, I'm about to do a thing in Israel at which the two ears of everyone who hears it will tingle.
God told Samuel that Eli's sons were going to be killed. And then after Eli died, Samuel ruled over Israel for many years.
and as Samuel got older, he grew older and older. The people in Israel were calling for a king, just like the nations around them. Well, they didn't think they needed God as much anymore.
Well, God listened to him, and they gave him Saul.
When Saul was first king, he was very humble.
But he didn't stay humble, for soon he was supposed to wait for Samuel to offer a burnt offering, and then
He couldn't wait any longer, and he did the offering himself.
What have you done? Prophet, the people were scattering among me, and you had not arrived yet, and so I forced myself, and I went ahead and offered the burnt offering.
You have done foolishly. You have not kept the commandment of your Lord. Because you have done this, the Lord will not keep your kingdom established. The Lord is searching for a man after his own heart, because you have not kept his commandments.
Because of Saul's disobedience, God chose another man to become king.
Samuel went out of his house as God had instructed him to, and went to anoint the next king of Israel.
They went to Jesse's house.
Samuel, do not look on the appearance or on the height of their statue, because I have rejected them. For the Lord sees not as a man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart.
Here is my eldest son. Very handsome, very strong. Certainly, he is the one that God would want to be the next leader of Israel. No?
No.
Sorry. Then it must be my next son. This is my next oldest son. He is very strong and healthy. He would make a great leader for Israel. No?
No.
Sorry. Perhaps then it is my next oldest son. He would make an amazing leader, I am certain of it. Certainly this is the one that God has called to be the next leader of Israel. No? This is yet another son of mine. This must be the next leader of Israel.
No. God has not chosen any of these. Are all of your sons here?
Well, there is the youngest who is out in the field tending the sheep, but
Bring him here at once.
really? Abinadab, go get your brother David from the field and bring him back.
David?
Do as I say.
We will not sit down and feast until he is here.
We are honored to have you here, Samuel. This is my son David.
Samuel, anoint him, for surely this is my chosen one.
Young man, God has chosen you to be the next son of Israel, king of Israel.
David did not become king right away,
Well, he continued to be a shepherd.
and Saul continued to make bad choices.
After Saul, there was good kings and bad kings. And when David became king, he did what was right in God's eyes.
Yes, and as David grew older and older, he soon died. And then Solomon, his son, became king.
And Solomon, when he was king, God appeared to him in a dream.
Solomon, ask what I shall give you, and I will do it.
I am here, Lord, in the midst of your people, a great people, too many to be numbered. Lord, all that I ask for is wisdom to govern your people, the ability to discern between good and evil. Lord, this is what I ask.
Because you have asked this, and have not asked for yourself long life or riches or the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern what is right, behold, I now do according to your word. Behold, I give you a wise and discerning mind, so that none like you has been before you, and none like you shall rise after you.
Oh, spectacular girl. That zero pressure thing has gotten to my head.
I'm sorry for hurting your ears, spectacular boy.
It's not just that. I think it's made my brain mush. What we just did there was give the kids a glimpse of the future. What they really need to see is what happens next. And that is King David, or not quite King David yet, when he encounters somebody, a giant, at the Philistine camp.
Am I not a Philistine, and you, servants of Saul? Bring me a man to fight. If he should defeat me, we shall be your servants. But if I shall defeat him, then you shall be ours. I defy the armies of Israel. Bring me someone to fight.
King Saul, what should we do? I don't know. We better call somebody, though.
What King Saul should have done was face the giant, but he lacked the courage.
Now David had his brothers were fighting in the Israelite army, so his father sent him out there to check on them, see how they were doing, and bring them some food.
And when David arrived on the scene, he saw Goliath, the giant, emerge on the other side of the valley. And he saw how the Israelites cowered in fear from the man.
Since he knew that nobody else would fight him, he told King Saul, I will fight him.
David was just a boy, yet he had the courage to fight Goliath.
What am I, a dog? You bring me sticks?
You come to me with a sword, a spear, and a javelin. But I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, who you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you down. The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion, from the paw of the bear, will deliver me from this Philistine.
Now, after David was able to slay the giant, the Israelite armies were able to take over the Philistines.
David, giant slayer, did not become king for another 20 years.
That's when Solomon became king. And since he asked for wisdom instead of riches, God blessed him with both and gave him massive wisdom over the earth.
Look, this is my great statue. The biggest statue, I'll bet there's not a bigger one in the whole world, and I'm the one that made it. This is the God that people should worship.
Now remember what I told you. When the music begins to play, you bow down and worship the statue. What an amazing statue.
Yes.
Look how tall it is.
King Nebuchadnezzar, we have a problem with some of the Jews.
What?
They are not bowing down and worshiping the statue as the music plays.
What? Well, they may be leaders in my government, but they still need to obey my commands. Bring them to me at once. I'll set them straight.
Yes. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, over here.
Perhaps you three have forgotten the new law. Let me remind you. The new law says that when the music plays, you are to bow down to my statue. Otherwise, you will be thrown into the fiery furnace. Now, I'm going to give you three one more chance. When the music plays, you will bow down to my statue, or into the fiery furnace you go. Got it?
King, we don't need any more time. We can give you our answer now.
Very well.
If our God is willing to deliver us from the fiery furnace, then he will.
And if not, we won't worship your God or your king.
What? dare you? Guards, I want the furnace 7 times hotter than normal and throw these 3 into it.
Oh, my.
Into the furnace you go. This is what happens when you do not follow the king's orders.
Yes. Oh, it's hot.
What is this? Arioch, was it not 3 men that we threw into the furnace?
Yes, King. It was 3 men.
Well, then explain to me why I see 4 men walking about in the flames unharmed, yet one of the men looks like the son of a god.
I don't know.
Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, come out of the furnace. Come out, you servants of the Most High God. Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent an angel and delivered them unharmed from the fiery furnace, for they refused to follow the king's orders and worship any other god but their own.
Spectacular girl, after Solomon, who I like to call Wisdom Man, was gone, well, the people of Israel turned from God, and they started worshiping idols. Well, in order to punish them, God sent the Babylonian army in, and they took over the land and took everybody prisoner. Well, there were several of them that were taken prisoner, and some back to Persia, and some of them became leaders. Well, 4 of them were friends: Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Those were the guys we just met.
All but Daniel.
All but Daniel.
That's
well,
right.
who should we call them?
I think maybe, I haven't thought about that one, Spectacular Girl. I know, they're my favorite, and I got something else that's my favorite. How about the jalapeno trio? Hot, hot, hot.
They were awful hot, that's for sure.
They were.
But they did not burn up because God protected them.
That's right. Now, in the next scene, I think we're going to see Daniel.
Yes,
And he
our
was-
4th friend.
He was one of their friends. He was the friend of the jalapeno trio. Roo.
All right. Who's waking me up?
Sir, we're very, very, very sorry, but this is very, very important.
Yes, King, very important.
All right, so what is this very, very important message that's worth waking me up?
Oh, King, you are such a great king, and we think the whole kingdom should recognize that.
Yes, great king, recognize.
Well, I guess that sounds pretty good so far.
Yeah.
Go on.
We believe that for 30 days, nobody should pray to any god except for you.
Yes, for 30 days. And if they do, they should be thrown into the lion's den.
Yes. Here, King, sign right here, and we can make it official, and the law can never change.
Not for any reason.
There you go.
Oh, very good.
Very well.
99.
You may go back to sleep now.
99.
Thanks so much.
99.
Dear Holy God, thank you for your faithfulness, O Lord. Please help me to be the leader that you want me to be.
Daniel, he's praying to his God.
I knew he couldn't obey the law. We got him now.
Yes. Let's go tell the king.
All right.
Why do you keep waking me so?
Oh, a king, remember the law that you signed? And you said that anyone that prayed that any other god would be thrown into the lion's den.
Yes, I remember the law. I stated it, and it cannot be changed.
Yeah, right here.
Not for any reason, right, King?
Right.
That is correct.
Daniel was just found praying to his God.
Daniel?
Yep.
Not Daniel.
Yes.
How could I keep Daniel out of the lion's den.
Oh,
No,
but
no,
King,
no,
you
no.
said
He's
not
one of
for
my
any
most
reason.
favorite servants.
I know, but you said for no reason could this law be changed. You said it's right there in writing, King.
All right. Throw Daniel into the lion's den.
Daniel, you have a impromptu meeting with the king.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
A meeting with the king.
King, here is Daniel. Do you have something to say?
Daniel, may the God that you serve continually save you. Put him in the lion's den.
Kind of a bummer, huh?
I'm hating it for you, buddy.
There you go.
Oh no, it's already morning. I've got to go check on Daniel. Daniel, was your God able to save you?
O king, live forever. God has shut the mouths of the lions because he found me innocent of any wrong against you.
Daniel, call guards, come. Get Daniel out of the lion's den immediately.
Daniel, prayer man, kept praying even though he faced almost certain death.
And God saved him and kept him from the hungry lions.
Are you kids ready for one more Bible hero? All right. Well, girls, you're in for a treat, because this one's name isn't Jake, isn't Joey or Billy or Sam. It's Esther, and I call her Queen Bee. Queen Bee Esther.
Now, Esther was raised by her uncle Mordecai, and they were both Jews, and they went to Persia.
And when they were in Persia, the king was looking for a new queen. Well, he had many, many women he could choose from, but he chose Esther to be the next queen of Persia.
Now, everything was wonderful until an evil villain showed up. His name was Haman, and he hated the Jews, and he wanted to get rid of all of them.
Now, Haman was close friends with the king, Esther's husband. Mordecai told Esther that she was the only person in the land that could save her people.
So Esther fasted with her servants and prayed to God before she was to go before the king.
The reason they fasted and prayed so much was in those days when somebody went before the king, they had to have been invited. Well, Esther was not invited, and many times people that were uninvited faced death.
What is it, Queen Esther? What is troubling you? Even if it is half the kingdom, I shall give it to you.
If I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if the king pleases to grant my wish, may the king and Haman come to a banquet this day that I will prepare for them.
A banquet. Very well. Haman and I shall come to your banquet.
Man, now that was some good food.
Very delicious. How nice of us to be invited. Queen Esther, tell me, what is it that is troubling you? What would you like? Even if it is half the kingdom, I shall give it to you.
Well, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it pleases the king to grant my request, then the king and Haman may come tomorrow, and I will do as the king says.
Another banquet with food like this. Certainly. Haman and I would be happy to attend your banquet once again tomorrow evening.
Great.
That was some more good food.
I'm not sure that I realized that it could have gotten even better than it was last night, Haman. This has just been delicious. Queen Esther, this has been wonderful. What is your request? As I've said, even if it is half the kingdom, I shall give it to you.
Well, King, if I have found favor in your sight, please let my life be my request, and for my people. For we have been sold to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated.
What? What man would presume to do such a thing to you and your people?
A foe, an enemy, this man Haman.
Haman? Guards?
Uh-oh.
Come and get him!
Now, our Queen Esther had great courage as she had to face the evil villain Haman.
Now, kids, tonight we learned about 5 Bible heroes. Can you remember who they were?
Do you remember?
I don't know if they
I don't
remember,
know.
Spectacular
Do you
Girl.
Remember? Yes.
David, the giant slayer, who was the only one courageous enough to face up to the evil giant Goliath.
And then we had Solomon, the wise man, who asked for wisdom instead of riches, and God gave it to him.
And then we have the jalapeno trio, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who would not bow down to the evil king Nebuchadnezzar's idol.
And then, who did we have? Do you remember? Yes, in the lion's den, right? We called him Prayer Man. Because
That's right.
he knew it was against the law to pray, but he did. And he trusted God would protect him.
And finally, we had Queen Esther, Queen Bee, who was a woman so full of courage that she defended her people and beat the evil Haman.
And then, of course, we have who? God, our ultimate hero, right? Do we have any other superheroes out there? Woo! All right, we want to see all of you guys back tomorrow, and bring your friends, okay?
Spectacular Girl, I think they're going to see the best Bible hero yet.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's going to pay to come back tomorrow, kids.
We'll see you then.
Have a great night.